Welcome back.
Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you
Yes,
like that.
indeed. Welcome back. My name's Ivan Vixamar. Most people just call me Vix. And I would like to say thank you for tapping into my podcast called The Lunch Table with Vix. Now, my why behind this podcast is simple. It's to bring people to the table, have real conversations, and impact the masses. Now, today, I got another banger of an episode for y'all, like I bring every week. Well, that's cap, because I don't upload every week. But whenever I upload, I bring out bangers. And today will be nothing but the same. So I got my dog, Jay, in the building. Dang, I probably shouldn't have said your name so quick. Probably should have, built it up. But I got my boy Jay in the building. His real name is Jerome. I call him Jay. Now, when most people say they day one, they really don't mean they day one. It's more like they day 6 or 7. But today, I got my day one. I've been knowing this man since kindergarten, since I was 5 years old. So that I'm 25 now. So that's 20 years that I've known this man. Truly family, truly my brother. Jay, say what's up to the people.
Yes, sir, man. Nah, I'm blessed, to be in the position I'm in, and yeah, like Vic said, man, I know him for since we were youngins, man. Real talk, to tell you how close we were. My mom, she didn't really. I didn't sleep over a friend's house like outside of Ivan until I was like a senior in high school, and that's just like Jamaican culture. But like Vix was like the first guy that like I slept over his place, he slept over mine, and like our parents just had that vibe where it was like we trusted each other. So that just tells you how close we were, growing up. And then to play high school football and a lot of sports together was awesome. And then, to go to college, both in Chicago land area, like that was another blessing. And then now that we're far apart right now in terms of states, but we still stay in touch about once a month. And every time I go down back home to Florida, like we link up, man. So it's definitely a blessing and a pleasure to be on here with him. So
Say that. So we're going to hop right into it. Being a former athlete, I like to still think I am an athlete, but we're both former athletes. How do you feel sports impacted your life? And then I guess part 2 would be, if you're fortunate and blessed to have children, would you kind of push them to pursue sports, or would you just kind of let it fall where it may? If they do sports, they do it. If they don't, they don't. Or are you kind of going to try to push them, nudge them towards playing sports?
yeah, no, that's a great question. I think for me, the first thing and foremost, you always want to push your kids in whatever they want, but like I think sports is one of the best ways to push them, and one of the easiest ways for people to gain friends for a lifetime. I mean, I think that's one of the big reasons we're friends as long as we are. We did a lot of sports together. That was important to us, and through that there was a lot of shared experiences, like college trips, man, like and that's the power of sports. It just does a lot. So for me, yeah, I think I would, at least push them to do multiple sports growing up. If they don't want to do it after like elementary school or when they go to middle school, that's fine. But I think initially it's a really good way to build like that camaraderie and build a friendship with people, and then also be able to get some exercise. Nothing's wrong with that. You don't have to. Not everybody, even us as like bigger like adults now, you don't have to exercise for like hour 2 hours, but for kids, got a ton of energy, like that's great for them, to exercise and get out and do something. So I think for me, pushing that is definitely like it's definitely a thing, but then not going overboard.
Big bet. So as I transition, I want to kind of talk college and the college decision you made as far as leaving the state of Florida. If y'all don't know, me and Jay are both from the crib, from Fort Lauderdale. And I said that so Fort Lauderdale. But we from Fort Lauderdale, man. And to leave Fort Lauderdale, where the stigma, I guess in the whole state, but really in South Florida, is, I ain't never leaving Florida. Florida is the best state in the world. And yes, I know that don't make sense, but that's what they say. The best state in the world. I don't I guess my thing about the people who say it, cuz I love the crib. I love Florida, being from Florida, like the atmosphere, the vibe, the music, the people, all that. My thing is the people who are saying it, they don't never leave the county, much less the state. So I'm like, y'all never really seen anything else. So it just is hard for me to believe that Florida is the best when y'all haven't seen nothing else. So me and Jay, we decided to go to college in the Midwest, and I kind of want to talk to you about what impacted that decision. Like, why did you choose to get up and leave Florida and to go to the Midwest, where we went to Chicago? So it's cold. Like, they don't play when they say it be gray and the sun don't show in the winter. Like, they not joking. The sun don't even peek through. Like, it's wild. And we left, the Sunshine State to go to that. So kind of talk to me about that experience for you.
Yeah, so for me, like, man, I could tell a few stories about like my time up there and when I was like, oh shoot, I don't know if this is for me. But I think the biggest thing for me, going through the recruiting process and trying to figure out a school that was best for me, was when I was going through it, I had no intentions of like leaving Florida. Like originally, I mean, Vix is a big fan too. I'm a big fan. I wanted my dream school was Miami, University of Miami, but then I found out it was a private school, and unless I was getting unless I was getting the athletic scholarship, I was not going there. So like my backup plan was like FAU. I was like, all right, like FAU, like go Owls, baby, Owl Nation, you know. That was for me, and I pushed hard to try to get something football wise there. Nothing came out of it. So for me, like after that, it was like, man, I'm trying to see different stuff, explore the country and do and see different places. So I actually, I know Vix went to Concordia, I think once or twice. I think I don't know, forgot how many visits you had. Um, but like I had four to Wheaton, and every single one was different. It was kind of crazy. My first one, I went up there and no cap, like I went up there, but after my sophomore year, I went up there and I was like, listen, mom, like I love you, but there's not enough color up there. Like I like
He said, "Look, I done seen the field to play with. Nah, I ain't doing it."
I didn't see one player that looked like me. There was no black, and that's like that was a big thing for me. Like coming from Florida, I was like, listen, there's nobody that looks like me up here, and it's still within the coaching realm. Like that's still a big thing. Where like, telling kids, hey, there's nobody like it's hard. It really is hard to sell people like there's nobody up there that understands where you're coming from. It's like I don't know if I could do this. And that was my sophomore year. But then, I came up. Then within my senior year, it was my second visit. I went for a game, and I stayed with some people that was some players that looked like me. Were like, hey, they were some of my boys. Like they were from one guy was from Tennessee, and like they were pretty cool. They were down to earth. I was like, all right, like I could do this, and I saw them play. And us coming from Florida, we're big on Division One. So like seeing
D1 or bust. That's the motto.
exactly. So like D3, we're like, man, these guys ain't big. These guys not that like. But man, the game saw, I was like, boy, like I was like, boy, these guys built a little different up here. Like they don't got the speed like Florida, but they definitely been in the weight room. Like I was like, oh, I might have to hit a few benches. Um, but yeah, for me, the attraction was really just getting out of my comfort zone, and also just like I love my family, and this is like where my family is kind of against me in some ways outside of my mom, but like I love my family, but I wanted to experience something different. I wanted to get away. Like I wanted to like be my own person in a way. And my family, they're from Jamaica originally, so for them, they came to Florida and they're like, why don't you want to go down the road? Like, and Vix knows Broward College right down the road. So like, why don't you just go to BC? It's like BC, first thing, BC don't have football. So like I'm not going there. But again, like my last two visits, I stayed overnight for an OV. Really well. I love the coaches. I love the people out there, the players. They were awesome. And then my last visit, my dad and I went up there, and the head coach was a great guy. He's a motivated guy and passionate. Um, and I loved it. I fell in love with it and I committed, and it was one of the best decisions. But for me, like the biggest thing that drew me was, obviously the people matter, but also just Chicago was 30 minutes away. That's cool. And Chicago's pretty diverse, so that was awesome to have that in your back pocket, where it's like I'm going to the school that's a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution, but I still got Chicago right next door. So it's like you're kind of be able to get a mix, within your college experience. So that was a big factor for me.
Yeah. I think the Midwest as a whole is just a whole different like vibe. And I think every time I travel somewhere, you just pick up a different vibe from each place you go to. So for me, going to the Midwest it was interesting because you get to see the four seasons. Like, and it sounds like really trivial stuff, but to be honest, it's like being in Florida, you don't see the four seasons. Like it's just hot or raining, hot or raining. Like that's really all it is. But when you go to Chicago or like the Midwest in general, like you really appreciate spring. Like I really understood what they meant when they're like the flowers come like get to what do they blossom, like you
Yeah.
really get to like experience like 35 degrees and all of a sudden it's 55 degrees and the white people go crazy, bruh. It was mind-blowing to me. It boggled my mind. It would be 35 degrees one day, the next day it would be 55. You would have thought you was on South Beach. People was
Oh,
out there, sandals, shorts, tank top. I'm like, y'all do know it's 55 degrees, right? It ain't like it's 85 and sunny. It's still 55 degrees and gray. But you really appreciate that because my second and third year, when it was 55 degrees, I was like, yo, it's warm. And it's just like, it's not warm. But like when you up there, 55 degrees was warm when the day before it was 22. So I think you get an appreciation of like the weather and just how blessed we are to living in Florida because what they call the beach over there, I don't know what that is. They said Lake, what's that, Lake Michigan? They
yeah, they
said
got
we going
some
to the beach.
they got some
I said
artificial sand. I was like, hey, we going to the lake.
I said the beach. They said, yeah, we going to the beach. I said, what beach? Lake Michigan. I said, you just said lake. How you gonna say it's a beach
And
if
the
it's a lake?
and the worst part, Vix, and like for the most part, I can't speak for Vix, but no me. Like when I go to the beach, I might get in here and there at an actual beach, but Lake Michigan, like nobody getting in. That water is freezing, and they call it a beach just because they get to sit out there with their artificial sand. Ain't nobody go in the water. If you go in the water, it has to be hot outside, like actually hot. Outside of that, that water is freezing.
Yeah, definitely. Lake effect is real. Like the Windy City is real. You go down one block and you feel like you're going through a wind tunnel. Like it's unreal. The one thing I will say, Florida to the Midwest, or I would just speak on Chicago because I haven't really been all up in the Midwest. Like I've been to St. Louis once, and then like we had a couple games in like Wisconsin and stuff like that. But for the most part, just speaking from Chicago, they got us beat with the food. To me, the food in Chicago is unreal compared to Florida. Like Florida, to me, you got a lot of like franchises. You got a lot of like big name restaurants. But in Chicago, it was like a lot of mom and pop places that were just bomb. Like just really, really good quality food. That was just really good. Like in Florida, like pizza isn't a big thing. So when you talk pizza in Florida, you talking Papa John's. Like if
Yeah.
someone's getting good quality and like this is no pushback against Papa John's, but if you really from Florida, if someone's like, "Yo, I'm having a Super Bowl party," and they like, "What type of pizza you want?" and you like, "Man, you going to Little Caesars? No, I'm going to Papa John's." You like, "Oh, bet!" Like it's gonna be a dope. It's this party finna be lit. It's Papa John's. You get the little jalapeno and the
Yeah.
little garlic in the box. Like you think you living, man. You go up there, that pizza up there is legit. Like it don't got nothing on this Florida pizza. This little Papa John's and the little what's the Domino's and all them
Yeah,
little chain
Domino's, Pizza Hut,
restaurants.
all that, boy.
It don't got nothing. And so for me, I think being up there, I realized like I expanded my palate as far as food. Like I ate a lot of like cheese curds, like all that stuff. I ain't never had that in Florida, but like going up to the Midwest, I was able to eat a lot of stuff that I wouldn't necessarily eat in Florida. So I will say that that was my one thing that I thought like Chicago had that I was like, dang, like you can't get that in Florida. And then of course like the city life, like they really have a downtown and like, the skyscrapers. Like you go to downtown Fort Lauderdale, you got like four big buildings and then like a stretch of bars, and they're like, "Welcome to downtown." Like, what's up? Like, boy, this is Los Olas. What is you
Yeah,
talking about?
exactly.
I mean, I was there when you were there too when the Cubs won the World
Oh,
Series.
they
So
went crazy, boy.
so that was fun being able to experience that. And they actually celebrate like St. Patty's Day. Like and living in Florida, I've never like celebrated St. Patty's Day. Like you just kind of wore green at school. But
Yeah,
like over there, they celebrate St. Patty's
they
Day.
go
Like
hard, bro.
it's a whole weekend, honestly. It's not even a day,
Yes,
it's a weekend.
because they put green in the river, bro. I don't even know how they get the whole river green, but I ain't asking those questions. Like,
I don't want to know
I
what
don't want to-
toxins they used. Them fish upset every year. They said, look at these humans at it again. About to just pollute our whole environment. People getting drunk, throwing beer bottles in the river, all types of stuff. Them fish
Oh
hot.
yeah, they man. And I will say one thing that Vic said. Like, yes, 3 out of the 4 seasons is like seeing those three, like 3 out of 4 seasons is good. And then what I always tell people out the winter, like I just the only reason I'm still up here, like I can do it, is I just tolerate the winter. That's about it. Like you just gotta be a master at finessing of like getting inside as fast as possible, staying outside as least as possible, and that's about it.
Have you shoveled snow? Like, have you had to shovel? Because if y'all don't know, at Concordia, being D3 athletes, we had work study jobs. So it wasn't like, the D1 life, they getting stipends and stuff like that. And we gonna low key talk about the NCAA in a little bit. But living the D3 life, you needed gear, you needed stuff like to eat, like that's all on you. Your books, like you gotta out of pocket. So you had to work. And one of the jobs I had was at a place called the physical plant, and pretty much it was kind of just the maintenance crew of the school. So they would like cut grass, deliver the mail, take out the trash, like uh kind of like labor. It was more like labor intensive work. And one of the jobs that we had to do was when it would snow, they called it snow crew. So you'd wake up at 5 in the morning and you would have to shovel the whole entire school so that like kids could still walk to class. Like,
Put the
because
salt
they didn't
down
want,
too.
yeah, you would have to lay down the salt. So, bro, I'm waking up, I'm going to practice, waking up 5 in the morning, shoveling snow, then going to breakfast, going to like workouts, then going to class, then going to film, then going to class, and then like practice. Like, bro, it was like a nonstop cycle for like a good month. And I hated the snow because every time it snowed, I know I was gonna get that text. Oh, snow crew tomorrow. And then they would try to make it feel special, like you get $1 extra an hour. Like, bro, that little measly, bro. When I tell you my fingers would be ready to fall off, you would wear like 3 socks, be
Yeah,
wearing like 3 jackets, slipping and sliding on the snow. Like, it was unreal. But until if you didn't shovel snow, Jay, you don't know my struggle, bro. You just living in the snow, but you don't know the struggle, bro. You out here scraping your windshield. I'm out here scraping the concrete, my G. Like it's two different worlds, bro. And that's snow heavy. Like I
yeah,
didn't
it is,
realize
bro.
that. Like going from Florida to Chicago, I'm thinking like snow is like nice and fluffy, but people don't realize that under when I say people, Florida people, they don't realize that underneath that fluffy snow is like ice, like because the snow just keeps compacting on itself, so it like freezes and turns into ice.
Yeah,
So when you walking, you think you walking on like some nice snow that they be in the movies, and the dogs be running in it, and it be all cute. Like, yeah, all right, cute if you want. Go ahead, jump on that pile. Your
yeah.
butt gonna be slipping and sliding all through. I done fell, Jay. I done had so many. If they could pull up the security
The
footage,
archives.
I would be on ridiculousness at least 2-3 episodes of footage of me just falling, bruh. And it'd be crazy. You ever fall and you look at what like caused the fall and you just be mad, you be cursing like God man, and you just like, bro, like you slipped on ice, bro. Like you can't even get mad at nobody. Like it's nobody's fault. It's just the ice was there.
I tell you what,
And
the smoothest criminal, and Vic's gonna know exactly what I'm talking about, is Black Ice. Smoothest criminal.
hey, it takes out lives
Boy,
every
I'm
year.
I'm telling
Every
you.
year.
Oh my, it just sneak up on you. You got no idea. And like if you don't know what black ice is, it's basically when like the street, like there's a little like hole or something, the ice like goes over the street or any like darker surface. There's ice over top of it. And like you don't you really think it's all good. Like it's like, all right, it's just a street. And you step. And when I tell you it's an automatic, like your feet are in the air, you gone. Cause you've never felt more confident when you taking that step, and then
Hey,
you're just
that confidence shoots right out. I will say this real quick. I remember one time I was doing. I don't even know if I was doing snow crew or like doing trash or whatever. But we used to have these go karts that we used to just slide around. You know, we slide in around the go karts thinking we cool. And I remember my boy Juju. Shout out Juju. He was driving the go kart and he was like, "Bro, like I'm gonna do a donut." And mind you, it's like snowing and stuff. So I'm like, "All right, whatever." He started doing it. It's all cool and everything. We start driving, and the back wheel done caught some black ice, bro. When I tell you, I literally thought I was going to heaven. Like I knew at that moment, I was like, I'm about to see my grandma. Like it's over with, bro. Because there was a bench. We were sliding straight towards a bench, and it was the grace of God. That's how I know God ain't done with me yet. He done straightened out that tire some way, somehow. Won't he do it? And we like literally missed the bench by like I'm not trying to even exaggerate. It was probably like 3 inches. By like 3 inches, we missed that bench. And it was at that moment I looked at him, I was like, let's clock out. I don't care about this money. I think we was getting like 850. Honestly, let's get into the money aspect of college because they was paying me 850. Bro, like I was doing manual labor for 850, Jay. Like 850 to shovel snow and do all this stuff. Like, come on, that's slave. Like, I should have
yo.
reported them, bro. So since we talking about that, how you feel about the recent news that college athletes, and I don't know if I didn't read into it, so I don't know if it's just D1 athletes or just across the board who can now get paid for their image, their likeness. I think the NCAA game is actually coming back. They're supposed to be starting again with the NCAA football game and stuff like that. So how do you feel about that now college athletes can kind of get a piece of the pie that they was really missing out on?
I feel good about it, especially being like Vic said, like we're both D3 guys. So like for us that hits differently, Obviously at the higher levels, for those guys that are the Alabamas, the Clemsons that are making a ton of money, like that like college is making a ton of money off of their backs. Like, yes, that's good for them. But I think for the majority of college athletes, the FCS programs, the D2 D3 programs that like those guys aren't the schools aren't making a ton, and those kids aren't like are having to have jobs like Vic talked about. I had jobs when I was in college too, like whether it was like I drove around the shuttle from like I think I clocked in at like 5:30 and I clocked out at 1 o'clock, like 1 a.m. And I just drove a shuttle around, like, and I picked up maybe about 5 people, and like I had to sit and go to a stop, sit there, and like so all that to say, like I think it's good where people are allowed to express their avenues and whatever it is, whether it's YouTube, podcast, or whatever, and like make money off of it because like there's so many things we had to do when we were D3 guys. It was like, oh, you have to do it by the book. There's no other way to go about like making a little extra when you don't
which
have.
which I thought was wild because I remember coming in freshman year and like every college athlete has to go through like that talk where they talk about the NCAA and everything, and they really sit you down and they're like, hey, like you're not allowed to take this and take that, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm a D3 athlete. Like, who's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who's I'm nobody to like most people. So it's just like, why is it a big deal if someone wants to? I think they're like, oh, if someone wants to pay for your meal, you can't accept that. And in my head, I'm just like, what? Like, bro, it's a $10 meal. If someone's like, oh, I want to pay for this meal or take you out to dinner, oh, you can't because you're an athlete. It's just like some of the rules. I was just like, it makes no sense, and it just it confused me because I'm like, I'm a D3 athlete, and I remember them saying like, oh, if someone like wants to interview you, you have to run it through like the Concordia PR. I'm like, bro, I'm doing this interview because if somebody want to interview me, I'm talking. Like,
Yeah.
you see me run it past you. Who is you? Like, bro, like I'm a D3 athlete. It's not like I'm gonna be on ESPN or like one of these big networks getting interviewed. If someone's interviewing me, it's probably a newspaper interview. What I gotta run that through you for? Like, and it's just that was the stuff that was going through my head, that I was so confused on like all these rules and expectations that like are getting put on someone who's paying to go to school. Because
Yes.
D3 athletes, you're paying to play the sport. Like, yeah, you might get a little bit of breaks here and there because you're an athlete. The school will quote unquote find some money for you. But at the end of the day, it's like you're not on scholarship for that sport. You're on academic scholarship, you're getting financial aid. So yeah, your tuition might be lower than other students, but at the end of the day, you're still paying to play. And it's just like, if I'm paying, why do I have to like still abide by all these NCAA rules that are getting placed on athletes that are getting fully like full scholarships? Like, they're getting everything pretty much paid for. Why am I under that same like jurisdiction? Like, if I want to make a YouTube video and I'm a D3 athlete and I'm trying to monetize the YouTube video, why can I not? Because I play college football. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
So within that too, I think there's a misconception. And I'll just and this is just my opinion, like, because like especially what Vic said, like we are paying D3 athletes at least are paying to play that sport, and like the misconception is like by this happening, like this is gonna open Pandora's box for guys like schools having to pay all this. It's not the schools aren't paying these guys more. It's the guys going out and finding opportunities to get paid, like to make money different creative ways that like it
So
is good
so
for them.
break it down to the people that might not understand. So they're not getting a check every 2 weeks from the school like, hey, like this is the money that you're getting now. It's like, if you want to get paid, you have to go out there and speak to brands. You have to go out there and play and stream. Like, you have to do something. It's not like the school is just awarding you this money because like, oh, the NCAA passed this mandate or this rule that athletes can be paid. So it's not like it's coming out of the school's pockets. That's what you're pretty much saying.
Yeah, so and like yeah, to go along with that, like the biggest thing and also these guys have to manage, like for especially for D3 and guys who are non-scholarship, like you still have to balance academics, football, and whatever that third thing is, like whatever you're interested in. Like it's still a lot to balance. Like it's not just a okay, you can do this now and it's just take care of everything. You still have to put work into the academic side or football and that other thing in terms of whatever that avenue that you want to go into to make some extra money. You still have to put effort in. So at the end of the day, like you put effort in that and you fall through on those other areas, like it's gonna like you can be good at that, but if you fall through on football, like then you might not be playing football anymore. You can do two of those three at a high level, but like it's just understanding, okay, to do all three, like academic, especially for a non-scholarship guy, non-athletic scholarship guy, like do academics, football, and this. That's still a lot of work on that guy. But if he can do it, like and make some extra money, that goes a long way. So
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't, especially my non athletes, they don't understand always how much time goes into the craft. And what I mean by that is like, yeah, we practice. Yeah, it's 2 hours you practice. But like you don't understand how much time like you're going to film sessions, you're doing one-on-one meetings with coaches, you're working out, you're lifting weights. Like there's so much other moments that don't always get seen that you're investing into your craft or your sport that takes up time, like you said, that you could be doing other things. Like people don't realize how important having a social life is when you're in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like grades are great, get great grades, study hard, get internships, all that is great. But if you're not having a social life in college, I feel like you're kind of cheating yourself because college is such a great opportunity for you to meet like-minded people, to be able to explore like who you are as a person, to be able to make mistakes. Like there's so much other stuff that is important in college besides just getting good grades. Or if you're a football player, volleyball player, golf player, there's so much more to college than just being good at your sport. And I think, like you said, it's hard to balance all three. And going back to the kind of the first thing we were talking about, why we think sports helped us in our lives. For me, I think it helped with balance because you might know people like this too. When I played sports, my grades were better.
One
They
hundred percent.
like, and I always had the assumption. Like I remember during the off season thinking like there was like I think it was like a month that you get where like the coaches aren't allowed to like see
Yeah.
you or like make you do stuff. So it's pretty much like a month where like they tell you, oh, like work out, but it's not like team workouts and stuff like that. So pretty much you're off. Like they can't really even make contact with you. And I remember feeling like this is what a normal student feels like. Like this is how much free time they have. I'm like, how do y'all get bad grades and y'all got
Hey,
so much time? But my grades started to slip, and
I'll
I was
take
just
it.
like,
I'll take it
go
a
ahead,
step further, Vix.
go
When you
ahead.
and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The first time, or like the first semester, or like whenever football season was over, my senior year, that was one of the most awkward feelings. I knew I would never play football again after my senior year in college. Like that was one of the most weird times. I did not. I had no idea. Like I was like, now this what college is like. Like it was the first time I could like breathe and be like, wow, man, I got some time. Like, and Vic's knows exactly, especially like transition from the college level, where it's like, what is this? This is the time they got. Like, how do people struggle? Like, and it's just, I don't know. That for me, it was crazy. Like,
Yeah, it's wild because it's just like you realize how much time you put in and how much hours a week you put in. And I'm not, obviously we're not at the D1 level. The higher the level, the higher the competition, the more is expected out of you. But for us and like Concordia, we was not good by any means. So for us to be going 2-8, 3-7 every year, and to be putting in that much effort and work, I'm just like, bruh, like this is ridiculous. The amount of time I was putting into this game, this sport, just like you said, to just be senior year and just be like, oh, this is done. Like you're never gonna play college football again. And then to kind of be like a normal college student, it was just like unreal to, like you said, kind of take that breath and be like, oh, like there's an event and I can actually go to it, or there's something that's going on during the middle of the day and I'm actually able to check it out. Just even like little stuff like that. And like not having to, after your class, not having to run to the football offices to watch film. Now after the class, I'm like confused. I'm like, I don't know what to do with my time. I'm like, I think SpongeBob come on at 3, but I mean, I don't really know what to do with my time. And this is wild how much time you really put in. So I'm glad the NCAA, and I don't even want to thank them for it because honestly, it's stuff that should have been done such a long time ago.
mhm.
And I think the only reason they're doing it is because of the pressure of like society as a whole now. That's just like pretty much telling them like, yo, this is slave like labor that y'all really got these kids doing all this stuff and not compensating them, but meanwhile like y'all pockets are getting so much fatter. It's not right. So I'm glad through social media, through other athletes, like one of the YouTubers destroying, like he was in a predicament where he was like, yo, I either gotta pick my scholarship or my YouTube channel. And he picked his YouTube channel, and I'm sure he's happy he did it because he's huge now, social media influencer, probably making so much money. But like, just imagine all the athletes, how much money they got cheated on. Like, imagine
Yeah.
if Zion could have made money in college. How much money would that man have made? Like, how much? Like, it's just like,
Stupid.
bro, like you, like, yeah, he's on in the NBA, he's making millions, but how many more millions was he robbed of that he could have had in college? Bro, this man was literally the most talked about athlete in the past, what, 20 years since
And
Braun?
especially at the
Like,
college, especially just at even like obviously out of high school, but then at the college level, I mean, everybody was showing up to this man's games. Like, there's been a lot of great players at Duke, but like Zion was that dude, especially with society today and social. Like, everybody was on that. So like, exactly what you're saying. Like, man, like he would have made so much. Like, man,
he would have made bread.
and deserved
So
it.
it,
Like,
and deserved it because it's him. Like, he's putting in the effort, the work. He's the one that's going to be marketed. Like, yeah, there he's wearing a Duke jersey, but at the end of the day, ain't nobody looking at the Duke jersey if he wasn't the one wearing it. You get what I'm saying? Like, you could have put any random black dude in this Duke jersey, and ain't nobody would have cared. But they see Zion face, they're like, "Oh, that's Zion." Now there's intrigue. There's interest into. Oh, well, let's check out every Duke game. Like you said, Duke is a historic program. There's a lot of really historic programs out there, but if they didn't have that one or two player on that team,
yeah,
they wasn't they wasn't getting talked about. They wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was because of those players that they were able to bring in that university was getting the clout that they were getting, being able to recruit the way they were able to recruit. Like, hey, we just put so and so in the NFL. Like, you can be the next one. Just stuff like that. I think like those players in the past, I don't know if they could do like what do they call reparations or whatever, but some of them dudes need some back pay. Like,
yeah,
look,
yeah, bro. They do 100%.
like how you gonna make an NCAA game and put the person number, height, weight, everything the same and just take they name off? Like,
Name,
I know who this is. Like, how you gonna act like I don't know who this player is just because you put a blank name in the back? Or even worse, when they would like make up the fake like generated names.
yeah.
Like, I know who this is. Stop playing with me, bro. Like,
Oh man, yes, sir.
so it's just interesting. But is there anything else that you want to maybe say, get off your chest, tell the people what you got going on? I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say to the people as we wrap up?
Not really. You know, again, like, man, I'm blessed to be in this opportunity for me. You know, Vix knows me, and a lot of good things are happening. God's blessing me, and I'm running with it. But again, just being able to dedicate to your craft and keep being the best. I would just say this, like, from a coach perspective, a thing we preach to our guys, and I just want to my little advice. I know Vix likes to give the quote at the end. I love that because
Yeah.
I'm a big quote guy too. So like
Yes,
my thing
sir.
is like my little quote before Vix goes to his, you know, and this is I've told people before, but like a goal without a plan is a wish. So I just
Mm.
want to leave that little
Talk to
nugget.
him nice, Jay.
That's
Talk to
that
him
that's
nice.
what I got for you. Just keep that in mind. A goal without a plan is a wish. So just making sure you got a plan for whatever your goal is, and that'll help you accomplish it. So
Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. Again, shout out to my boy Jay. As he said, not everything can get spoken on at this moment, but like he said, God's really blessing him, and it's great to see how he's developed. Like, you know, when you see someone in elementary school, to see them now is just, it's incredible to see the growth. Like, me and Jay went to the same like middle school, high school, all that, and we were seeing a lot of other kids that had potential, that had the resources, and they're not doing anything. And not to like down them, but it's just like you see what they were given in life and how they turned out. So I'm so proud of Jay that he was able to really use the resources that he was blessed with and to really make something out of his life. And shout out to Jay, who just celebrated 1 year, his 1 year
Yes,
anniversary.
sir.
Shout
Yes,
out
sir.
to Jay. Shout out to Anna. To many, many, many more. I'll be definitely sliding to the wedding. I better be
I
the
already
first
know.
invite. Better be the first invite. That's all I got to say. And while we shouting out people, you know, I'll shout out my beautiful woman, my queen. Shout out Jessica Marie. Love you. But yeah, as Jay mentioned, I always like to leave y'all with a little quote. So my quote is actually a Bible verse, but I guess Bible verses get quoted all the time. But I picked this one specifically for this episode because I'm with my dog Jay. And the verse is Proverbs 18:24, and it reads, "There are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother." And for all y'all out there that got real friends around you, if you say, "Oh, he's a real one," but when good things are going on in your life and he's not clapping for you, or he got that fake smile on his face, or he's talking about you like about your opportunities and trying to diminish you, that ain't no real friend, man. Like, get those people away from you. You want people when you get good news, you're happy to call them, and that they're going to be just as happy for you, if not more happy for you, because they seen like the struggle, they seen like how hard you've wanted this, whatever it may be. So like for me, Jay is that dude. Like, he can hit me up, I can hit him up, and we're gonna be happy for each other. And we don't have time for the negativity. We don't have time to be like, oh man, like, oh, you did this or you did that, trying to like knock each other down. Especially as black men, I feel like we do that enough to each other, like just as a society. So let's start lifting each other up. And again, if you have people in your circle that when good things happen to you, you see them whispering and trying to, you know, throw shade, bro, cut them people off. You don't need them in your circle. It might be tough. Like, you might have grown up with them. They might have been running the block with you, this and that. But look, you don't need those type of people in your life. So I'm going to just end it on that. Like always, hit me up if you want any like specific topic talked about. I appreciate Jay coming on, taking the time out of his
Sure.
day to hop on the podcast. So much love to you, Jay. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who made it to the end of the podcast, who, you know, stay supporting, stay listening. Appreciate y'all. There's a lot of other things you could be doing, a lot of other people you could be listening to, but the fact that you pulled up a seat to the lunch table, much appreciated. And if you didn't hear that lunch bell, you're late for class, get to class. And like always, bless you. Love y'all. Peace.